you do the intro.
Fine, I will. Hellos and welcomes to episodes 38 of the Depths of Gaming.
Greetings, comrades!
38 episodes. Forever.
Yes.
Forever.
Thank you all. Well, thank you one and all for joining us on our journey across the news from the gaming industry.
The gaming news. Wow, the gaming news has been a total wreck this last couple months, hasn't it?
Oh,
because
yeah.
we had
Yay,
this,
fucked up.
we had this really quiet period near the end of summer, and then it really got crazy.
Yeah, and then EA happened.
Yeah.
And boy, was it a spectacular train wreck to watch.
But it's not just EA who's getting in trouble over
Oh, no!
over loot crates and all that. Oh wow!
So, yeah, Destiny 2 was also getting a little bit of a flack.
Professionalism.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, jackass with the slides, get on the right slide. Okay. I had to yell at myself real quick there. Continue.
So, Destiny 2 was also getting a little bit of a slack, simply because, well, you can't have players gaining free loot boxes too quickly, right? Because otherwise they're not going to buy the loot boxes. It's almost as if they are worthless.
Because that's always what what they say. Is they say stuff like, "Oh, we don't want players to progress too quickly," or
we want them to have a sense of achievement.
We want them to have a sense of achievement. And what that actually means is they want to dilute the free stuff so that you buy stuff.
They basically want the free stuff to be so grindy and unbearable that you will dish out the money.
Like this happened in Crossout a couple months ago. They nerfed the living shit out of crates because people were able to get them at a semi-decent rate.
So what did Destiny 2 do in order to piss off players? To basically make sure that the free content gets trickled down to them very, very slowly.
Well, the number one thing that they did is they made it so that the loot box vendor is the main vendor you have to go to throughout the game.
And?
And it turns out they were actually throttling XP if you got it too fast.
Yes, they were flat out lying to you. The amount of XP that was displayed on the screen that you got did not match up with the amount of pixels the XP bar filled up with.
Correct.
Which plenty of players on Reddit managed to calculate, and it turns out that in some cases 94% of your experience was was basically cut out from you simply because you were earning too quickly.
Right. So this is a problem that is very unique to online shooters with the leveling system, is people find out a way to grind it really quickly. And they decide to just nip that in the bud and say, if they ever figure it out, fuck them.
Yeah. Basically what they did is the normal style of play earned you 50% of the experience points that were displayed.
Yeah.
If you played slower than that, you were earning the full amount, 100%.
Yeah.
If you played faster than that and gained more experience than that, then you were gaining only 5% of your experience. So basically what they did is they made sure that you always had to grind twice as much in order to get to your next engram, which is bound to your XP, because every time, at a certain point in the game, every time you level up, you basically get a free loot box.
Hey guys, remember when Destiny came out and they said this game would last forever? Anyone remember that? No? Okay.
Yeah. So, well, technically, Destiny 2 is still Destiny, quote unquote.
Still, quote unquote, and that is because you weren't allowed to port your progress over, which is what you would expect from a game called Destiny.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, another thing. So, of course, gamers pointed that out. The devs felt like they were caught with their pants down, so they immediately said, "Oh, we looked into this system. We discovered that we don't really like it that much, so we turned it off." Right? The only reason why you turned that system off was because you were caught. This is the... Do not bullshit around and say that you were on the way of deleting the system anyway. Bullshit. Right? And to drive that point further across, they then doubled the amount of experience needed in order to get to the new Bright Engram.
Yep. So they completely nullified any change that happened. They are just adamant. They are adamant that if you do not matter, if you play Destiny 2, you do not matter. They do not care about your opinion.
Yeah. Unless you are a whale, they do not give a fuck about you.
And the fact that we now expect whales to exist in a $60 game is bullshit as well.
Yeah. Because that fucks over the majority of the gamers.
And as a quick reminder to those who may not know what we're talking about, a whale is a saying that microtransaction people use to suggest that there's a person that's throwing a lot of money into microtransactions. They're a whale, so to speak.
Yeah, basically imagine spending $1,000 a month on a game just so that you can get competitive edge. This is basically whales. There are dolphins who spend about $100 a month, and then there's krill, so people who do not spend on microtransactions at all. And
does it really go deeper than whale? I've never heard the dolphin and krill thing before.
Yeah. It's basically they're comparing people to fish and to...
Is Monterey Bay Aquarium on retainer with these people? What the fuck is going on?
Yes. Whales, dolphins, and krill.
Because that's a very deep cuts reference. I feel like someone just really liked fish and wanted to use a fish analogy.
Yeah, probably.
Because there's nothing specifically fishy about this.
Yeah, they want to dehumanize us as much as possible.
Yeah,
we are not people. We do not matter. What we like and dislike, the quality of the product does not matter. The only thing that matters is to hook our psychology into their continuous payment system.
It's this game as services thing where if you don't like the service, well, that's too bad. You should just go to a different service where you're not bothering us.
It's your choice. It's your choice. You don't have to pay for the microtransactions. It's your choice. But the fact that you're using psychological tricks to make me addicted to your game, to create a habit, to enforce me to pay for your bullshit microtransactions and loot boxes, that's okay, right? It's my choice at the end of the day. Bullshit. You're forcing this on people. You're making games deliberately bullshit and
keep
boring.
Trying. You've got that word on the ropes.
Yeah. It's a deliberate bullshit. Turning games that have good quality in them into shit simply because for a promise that they're going to get better if you pay more, right? Because they see the individual game to be worth at least $2,000 to $3,000. That's basically what the CEOs think that we should pay for a game. If we pay $2,000, $3,000 for the Star Wars Battlefront, they wouldn't put microtransactions in.
Yeah. It's this games as service. Well, part of this issue is what the gaming companies aren't telling you is the reason why they're doing this is because they've realized that this AAA thing doesn't work for them. Everyone gets excited, they buy the game, and then they run out of steam. They stop caring very quickly.
Yeah, because we want another game.
We want the next big fix, and when you're just relying on a 10-minute fix, which is what these $60 games are, you play for 10 hours and you're good.
Some games last you 10 hours. Some games last you 4 hours.
Some even last 4, yeah.
And other games, like, for example, The Witcher 3, last you for 250 hours.
And let's backtrack to games that cost maybe thousands at this point dollars of development, like Dwarf Fortress, that have theoretically infinite replayability.
Yes, because I believe that the Dwarf Fortress developer said like that he is like 40% or 50% to fully simulating reality in Dwarf Fortress.
Like Dwarf Fortress will be done when the singularity happens, because it will be the singularity.
Yeah, I just imagine an AI walking, basically saying that, "Oh, I'm making mugs now out of coal." What? Oh, I want beer, ale. Yes, more beer. Let's make beer. Let's make cats drunk.
Let's give some to the cat. That's right. You can set out little saucers of ale for your cats. Stop emailing me, PETA. Anyways,
yeah, let's rant a little bit about EA, because another.
I thought we were already ranting about EA.
Yeah, but I want to talk specifically about their new game called UFC.
Yeah, we've been talking about sports games. We've been talking about sports games and how they have a pay-to-win thing. And the thing is, sports games have kind of always had this. Like, the Madden games for the GameCube had a collectible card game system in it, for fuck's sake. Like, this isn't new. But now,
yeah, but sports games always fly under the radar of the game press, because as gamers we look towards RPGs and hardcore games,
yeah,
and maybe the casual games as this colorful, grindy little thing. But sports games were kind of outside of our domain, and EA kind of use those sports games to develop a new culture of microtransactions and loot boxes. Because now in the UFC game, the Ultimate Fighter competition, you actually every single technique that you use in order to fight competitively in, you have to buy from microtransactions.
Yeah, it's all loot boxes, and the standard moves have premium versions that you get from special loot boxes.
Yeah, you have the 1-star move, 2-star move, 3-star move, and 4-star moves.
Right.
And 4-star moves do more damage, take less stamina, and are overall completely better than normal ones. Right. So you can spend $200, $300, $400, and suddenly you are competitive, and you are you can fight on par with a player who actually know what the fuck he's doing, and you don't. But you bought all this shit, so you are more powerful.
Right.
And another thing about EA, they said, I shit you not, that they said that, oh, we cannot, we had to tie microtransactions in Star Wars to the game progression, to pay-to-win mechanics, because otherwise we would impose on the lore of the Star Wars game. You wouldn't want to have a white Darth Vader. You wouldn't want to have a
Darth
pink
Vader
Darth
was white!
You wouldn't want to have a pink Darth Vader, would you? And the best part is...
I know, you meant the costume, yeah.
Yeah, I meant his costume, yes. But besides that, I also meant the fact that in earlier version of the Battlefront game, Star Wars Battlefront, you actually have multiple skins choices.
Yeah, the last game had all of this, and according to data miners who've been rigorously diving into the game's files, it's in this game too, it's just locked.
Yeah, because they want to sell you this too.
Yeah, they were planning on using this as ammunition in a year or so, but we caught them.
Yeah, and we caught them on their bullshit. Not only that, it's another piece of content that is locked on day one.
Because people joke about disc lock content, but this is disc lock content.
Yeah, even on this is not even day one DLC. This is DLC that is on the disc in your computer, but you are incapable of even accessing it.
They have sold you code that you can't use.
Yes. And because of this entire microtransactions debacle, we would have access to it, but now it's locked up because the EA doesn't know what the fuck to do with it. Because no matter what they do, they're going to break their PR completely.
Yeah, because here's the thing that throughout history that has remained constant ever since it became a thing. Thou does noteth fucketh with Star Wars canon.
Yes, and since Imperator Mickey Mouse come to the throne, that comes doubly so.
Because here's the thing about Emperor Mickey is that he is going to choke a bitch if EA sours the name of Star Wars, because they spent good money to revive that series.
How many billions of dollars was that?
Oh man, I kind of want to look, but I also don't want to look. Because each movie was billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the budget on these movies is insane.
$4.05 billion. Yes, somewhere around 4 billion. Yeah. George Lucas is well off right now.
Well, George Lucas showers every night in like 1940s like wine. He has a different vintage every night.
In the sparkly wine, in champagne, so that he can have a jacuzzi without having a jacuzzi.
I hear bathing in wine is good for the complexion.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm too poor. I'm Polish.
Yeah, we're poor. We don't know. So, the new Cherry update is coming in Stellaris in the next year.
Oh yes, tell us about that.
And
you are very excited about this.
So we joke every time about Stellaris that they're completely changing the game with every major update now, and they're doing it. So we talked about a month ago about how they were saying that they're changing how starbases work, and ergo territories track differently, and now war goals are tracked differently, and now surveying is tracked differently, because it turns out that you weren't actually able to find anomalies in another player's space, which the game did not tell you.
Mm-hmm. It kind of makes sense.
No more fighting on your ass.
So yeah, they're also changing the fact how the fleets will work right now.
Yeah, because now admirals are only able to lead so many ships at once, and it doesn't scale with their admiral skill. So, rather than having to tweak some kind of intricate way to handle it, they just went, "Fuck it, we're not doing it."
Yeah,
too much effort. Just going to, not doing it.
We're just going to make players spend more on admirals, more their points on admirals.
Well, they said as much in the post that they did kind of want people to use more admirals. So that's the thought behind this. Is there's probably a lurking suspicion in the back of their mind that if they let it scale with rank, they'd cheat somehow and figure out how to do the same thing anyway, and they didn't want that to happen.
So basically, all that this will change is that your mega fleet will be still a mega fleet. It's just going to be fragmented between multiple generals.
Which is okay, because the combat kind of could use that, because the fleets of death slamming against each other, not only was it not very, quote, realistic, end quote, but it was not that fun to watch. Because it's just this flurry of special effects, and you go, well, that's nice, stuff is happening. It looks nice, it's pretty, but I don't know what's happening.
That's the reason why I upgraded all my fleets always to the dreadnoughts, to basically the highest class of ship.
Battleships, yeah.
Yeah, simply because that would mean that I still gain like military power, but I can have less ships.
Well, right. I mean, endgame, you want to only be building cruisers and battleships anyway, but So now with the having to fragment your generals, this is going to mean a few things. Missiles are going to be a little more useful, or so I thought, because now ships have a dedicated missile slot. They're not a basic kind of weapon anymore. They gave up on missiles.
Okay, that's fancy.
They gave up on missiles. They're like, you know what? Fuck it. We can't fix this.
We can't fix the missiles. Let's just.
They're a support weapon now. They're still in the game, but we'll finally listen to you at what all of you have been saying the whole time, which is they're not really a choice. Which is ironic, because in with all the generals fragmented, the admirals fragmented, the greatest strength of the missiles is that they're a great long range weapon, because they retrack if they overfrag, so you're able to get pretty good damage potential out of it. We'll see. And they changed how ship design works. Now a lot of different features are integral to the ship, like the power generators are integral to the ship.
So you can't update it?
No, you can. It's just there are set amounts of power you'll have access to.
Oh, I see.
There will be auxiliary components that increase power, though, so you can still customize your power. It's just they're getting rid of the current power generator meta, which is fine by me.
I see. Yeah, sure.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all, because you ended up wanting to just fill yourself with power anyway, so it didn't really work the way they wanted it to anyway.
I stuck with the automatically generated ships, and that was good for me.
Yeah. See, I actually customized my ships to be more effective. Mm. So, Warcradle has announced the Dystopian Age for their licenses that they bought from Spartan, and it's an Age of Sigmar that's going on, and I don't throw around that term lightly. The reason I don't is because there has been, oh wow, I am really bad at my job. Okay, here we go. This has been the least professional episode of all time. Even less professional than the first episode.
I see.
Which is strange, because it's about to get even less professional.
Professionalism, everybody.
Can you tell that we don't do this for a living? So now,
we could do this for a living.
We could, but we probably won't.
Yeah.
Oh, helps if I scroll down here. So now it's really weird, the names they ended up with, because they're still calling the naval game Dystopian Wars, even though now it's Naval Clash, because they called the land game Armored Clash, which is the old name Spartan used, but discontinued, but is now Warcradle is using it, and he's having an affair with Mimi, who's having an affair with Billy, who's having an affair with both Tina and Lori at the same time.
No shit, Sherlock. Of course they would.
It's insane.
She's a whore.
Anywho, so okay, that's not that bad. They told us this was happening. That's fine. But here's where it gets interesting. The Armored Clash game scale has changed. So now it's 10mm, and this doesn't really mean anything for a lot of the small to medium-sized models.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really mean anything for them because their scale is somewhat believable. Even though now they have Hobbit doors on them. But when you get to the large size models, like say the Marcel air carrier, or really any land ship, it's going to look completely out of place now.
Oh, I see.
Because every model in Dystopian Wars has like balconies and doors and hatches, and they're going to look out of place. They showed off this Federated American States buggy, and it had like these big old seats in it, and I could tell like, oh yeah, the scale's going to be way off. Because you see, if you put those seats next to the Hobbit doors on my air carrier, you're going to go, oh yeah, that's night and day. And so here's the other thing.
Yes.
They put all of their Wild West Exodus factions in the game now. So now the here's the list. The Prussians are now the Prussian Imperium. There is now the Latin Alliance. There's the Ottoman Sultanate, who is now a major nation. They used to be a minor nation. The Covenant of the Enlightened, which I think is Antarctica. The Imperial British Crown. So they have their kind of slave dynasty going. Yeah. The Russian Commonwealth. And this is the one that I love the most.
I would rather call them the Russian Communists. That would fit better.
Well, that's what they are. And the Union of Federated American States. Now, it's worth noting that Union and Federated are synonyms.
So
they mean the same thing.
So Department of Redundancies Department.
Yes, this was like if we were to call the Imperial British Crown the Royal Imperial British Dynasty of the Crown, or the Germanic tribes of the Imperial Prussian Doctorate of the Imperium. Like, this makes no sense. And I almost don't even want to say the next name because it's actually a racial slur against Chinese people.
That's racist.
This is something that's well known in just over here. They do not like being called this term, and so before Common Era, over 2,000 years ago, the lands of China were called the Immortal Celestial Empire, or they were called the Celestial Empire, and this was because they thought they were like ordained to rule all people or something like that, or that their ruler was like ordained from the stars. Either way, this was like pre-technology. This was really back before. And the thing about China is it changed its names about 11 or 12 times in history with whichever dynasty was ruling. So the Celestial Empire ended. There was another dynasty after that. There was another dynasty after that. There was another dynasty after that, and eventually it became China.
The People's Republic of China.
The People's Republic of China, yes. Or in the Warcradle version, the Civilians People's Republic of Democratic Proceedings in China.
Yes, because they have to be redundant. Otherwise, you will not know who they are.
And so the other thing about this is, so now the Civil War is happening for no reason other than it's 1870, which, by the way, was a war entirely caused by sanctions on slave owners.
Mm-hmm.
So the long story of this is that while other companies shy away from the parts of history that are sensitive to the majority of people in the fucking world, people don't want this dredged up. They are going, hey, want to be a Confederate slave owner? We have Wild West Exodus here for you. Want to kill a bunch of ugly, naked Native Americans? Come play Wild West Exodus. I'm Richard Lawford, and I'm a racist.
Well, he wants to be historically accurate, right?
No, he doesn't, because those same Native Americans stole a fucking Gatling gun or something, because they're big naked dudes that are wearing loincloths, but they have regular guns.
Yeah, he's full of shit.
Yeah, he's a racist, because during that period, they know how clothes work. They will wear clothes. They did wear clothes. Just like the feather in the head thing is deeply, deeply racist. Like, every point of Warcradle's designs is racist when it comes to the Native Americans.
Native South Americans very rarely wore clothes, but that's because
it was really fucking hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where these are like
just get in the way.
But these are the Native Americans like the Appalachians, where they had to wear clothes because it was cold.
Yeah, and during the winter, if you're naked in the winter, your dick would fall off.
Yeah, just it makes no sense.
It gives another meaning to the word popsicle.
So, needless to say, I am deeply, deeply bothered by this. I am no longer a Dystopian Wars player. I'm putting all of my miniatures up. I am playing other games. I refuse to be associated with white supremacy. I refuse to be associated with white supremacy. It is that simple.
At least keep the Polish regiments.
Oh, I'm probably going to use the tanks and all that. I'm just not going to play Dystopian Wars. I'm not going to play anything that Warcradle has touched.
Okay.
Because Warcradle didn't have... In fact, Warcradle has thrown out the French army. So my entire army is now non-canon. Whee!
And they promised that they would never do such a thing.
Yeah, upon promise... So here's how much of a hypocrite that Stuart is before we get to this. So in an interview, he says, we're not going to Age of Sigmar. And then in a Facebook quote, he says, I don't know what an Age of Sigmar even means. And then he does this.
Which is basically what
Age of Sigmar is, where you kill the current fluff, you rewrite everything so that it fits your game license, and then you just port over whatever you feel like keeping from the old license.
Meanwhile, invalidating half of your consumer base previous purchases. Correct.
And so I'm not making shit up when I'm calling this an Age of Sigmar, and they're probably going to say, oh, he has no evidence, except for, all that fucking evidence.
I have plenty of evidence. It's the best evidence.
It's the best evidence, believe me.
Believe me, I would know.
So, on to answers that nobody wanted.
Yay! Let's show some love to Reddit.
Princess Floofless writes, in our most recent session, we were attempting to clear out and retake an abandoned outpost, which we discovered was infested with undead. The first thing that made me think my DM was being unfair was how zombies in one of the encounters acted. We were fighting in a 5-foot-wide corridor, and the zombies were in a room connected to that corridor. They took turns to hit the fighter, who was paralyzed by a ghoul. They got out of the way for the next zombie to fight. The second thing was after the fight, this person's not very good at writing English, so there's a big run-on sentence here, but they're essentially saying that the undead ran over the corridor trap, and the trap didn't activate. Then a player ran over the trap, and it did activate. Now, it's very easy to just hand-wave this away.
Yes.
And,
for example, only undead can trigger... do not trigger the trap.
Yeah, and that's a very common trigger.
Yeah, if I was, for example, a necromancer who surrounds themselves in undead, I would set up traps like that. Because undead are stupid. And they would walk all over it and trigger it.
Yeah, because if a necromancer is the one who's in charge here, then yeah, he would make sure that the zombies don't trick his own traps. So they're kind of sore about that, and so the player's main problem is he doesn't see how zombies would be that intelligent or self-controlled to basically form an orderly line and take turns to stand in the same space. Now, here's the thing, is a monster doesn't perfectly control the space they're in. They're not in the center of it, controlling it all. They can be kind of in part of it. In fact, in combat, it can sometimes be assumed that they're on the very edge of the 5-foot space. And they just control the space behind them.
Yeah, it all depends on the referee, really, on the GM. If GM says that this is how it goes, then sorry to say, but this you have to follow the GM rules, because at the end of the day, he's the ultimate referee.
Because nothing he did was cheating. He didn't cheat, and and he wasn't making shit up. Some would argue he was making shit up, but not in the way that we typically mean.
He mostly was making shit up in terms of fluff, not really in terms of game mechanic.
Right.
And this is basically what's in suspicion here, because the zombie can make an attack and then move, allowing another zombie to make an attack and then move.
Yeah, it might seem unfair that they're being smart, but it's again, that can be very easily hand-waved. Maybe there's a necromancer watching, and he just has the zombies do it.
Mm-hmm. You don't know.
You don't know.
And the necromancer might be scrying. He doesn't have to be in the room in order to control the zombies.
Absolutely. One of Spoonie's DM tricks is whenever anyone like asks a question that is like, wait a second, zombies don't typically do that. He kind of looks at him and goes, yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a mystery. Go solve it.
Yeah, it's like the common thing people believe is that all monsters are the same, when that's actually not true.
Yeah, the rulebook gives you a lot of leeway in terms of how you want to present the story, and this is basically what you're doing. You're presenting a story.
Yeah.
You're trying to engage your players in a mystery, in a thrilling adventure, and at the end of the day, this is what matters. The rules are just there to prevent you from pulling something out of your ass, and that's basically how you're supposed to treat it. The most important thing in D&D is to have fun.
Indeed. That's what's important. Because he was just trying to have fun with his encounter, doing a little more damage. That's fine. He didn't kill anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. And yeah, the very top reply is, maybe there's a necromancer behind it all, controlling the undead and plus, yeah, so everything we just said.
Yes. Good comment. Good comment.
Good comment. Good comment. That was investiture. Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
Great minds think alike. Yeah, because that's probably what happened. But that is our show.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for watching and enjoying.
Indeed. And until next time on Depths of Gaming.